guys, welcome back to another episode of my Developer Diaries. Sorry it's been such a long time. It's been probably almost like a year now. But I was going through some bad burnout with this project. I was spending every night working on it and every day at work building games as well, and yeah, the burnout just hit me hard. So I couldn't even look at the project. Took a while off. Actually started working on some other little projects in the meantime, which I'll probably go back to at some point. But yeah, last couple of months I've actually kind of got my passion, my energy back, and I want to kind of revisit this and try and finish that last stint just to get this out. I think when people start actually playing it, it'll just reinvigorate me even more, and it'll give that positive feedback loop. So that's kind of where I stand at the minute. So this one's going to be a good one. I've got quite a few things to show you. I have actually done quite a lot of work in those couple of months, especially on stuff like UI, simplifying actions and behavior trees. I think I was really trying to push how much I could do, and I think that was part of the problem. So what I've tried to do is simplify a lot of stuff. For example, I was making it so that these buildings here, for example, a blacksmith, if they needed resources to generate items, so you can see here, make an iron, and for this you need ore. And what I was doing is I was kind of doing that whole routine for the peasant, so they would have to go and get the resources if they weren't there, bring them back. That would trigger the building to say like, hey, I've got the resources, and then we can start producing items. And there was lots of areas where bugs could be introduced. So at any point, if the settler, the peasant, died or got distracted or something else happened or the building got destroyed, there was so much room for failure that it just became a constant firefight of like, oh, well, I've got to cater for this, cater for that. And I think in the end, the players wouldn't even notice that action. So in here, I've actually changed it. So all the buildings have inventories, and the peasants have inventories and stuff. And what I got in there is like an auto stock, which kind of restocks when it gets to a certain value. And so now when this reaches 0, so as it has done, you can see how it's kind of it's just replenished automatically. So I'll check to see if that inventory is present, and I'll just restock. And it just kind of saves that trip. They still have to deliver it. So you can see here she's actually building up an inventory, and she's got max inventory that she can reach, and once she reaches that, or she finishes her job for the day, she'll go off and deliver that resource. So I still have that delivering, but the actual, well, you can see it now, but the actual going off and grabbing the resources, there was no need for that. I don't think it would have added anything to the experience, and it would have just been problematic. So yeah, one thing we can look at is the UI. So you can see the UI, since last time I've done a huge overhaul, I've done a lot. A lot of the inspiration for this is actually taken from Humankind, the game, if you've seen that. They had a very kind of transparent, clean UI, and so I actually tried to mimic that where I could. And same with the buildings as well. So you can see here, it's very, very clean. Kind of just gives you the information that you need. Still working on the colours, so there's still, I know, for example, I need to work on the colours a little bit more. So red's kind of, you need to click on it to get your attention. Kind of green is filled, but I still think these all quite look right. And even this information here is very small. There's still a lot of work to be done, but you can work on UI for so long, and then if mechanic changes, you kind of got to redo that UI. So I'm not worried too much about that. But yeah, also upgrades as well. So I think I touched on this briefly a little bit last time. I uploaded a video showing people upgrades. So here, all buildings, because the idea of this game is to have a much smaller village. It's not going to be a banished where you have these sprawling settlements of 100 settlers or 200, and just hundreds and hundreds of houses. I want it to be kind of like small. So I want that place to have that feedback loop still of being able to build stuff, being able to do stuff. So how I got it in here is actually, you can actually, obviously these don't need resources at the minute, but they would do. And the time to build them is very short, just for developing it. But yeah, you click on one of these, and it would provide you an upgrade, and these upgrades would do certain stuff. So, for example, in the house, it increases the appeal, which increases the tax generated. I have straw beds, which, for example, would have allowed more people to sleep in the house, but I've changed how the way houses work. I'll talk about that in a minute. Seating, which just provides more idle locations around the settlement. Insulation, which keeps them warmer in winter. Fireplace, which can burn firewood, which also keeps them warm and safe. A garden, which actually produces food at the end of the day. So this will kind of like just give you your settlements just like an ambient amount of food, keep rolling in. And also, as I said, one of the other things I've done with the houses is I originally had them so you have like 4 slots for people to stay in, and you could put anybody in there. So you could put, one person from one family, a child from another, and it was really hard to manage. It almost felt like a lot of micromanagement. So what I've actually changed it to is change it to families. So here at the minute there's too many families because I've just been spawning them without actual family associated with them. But you can see how many people are in that family. And then when you do it, you can see they've got a home to live in. The request has been complete, so that makes me a little bit happier. And now you can see how they're all assigned to here. So, when we get to night time, they should now all come to this house, whoever lives here. So you can see there you go, one person just falls straight into them. You can see here, Brown's household, one person's living here. So yeah, Sarah Brown's, she's come in, she lives in it, and there we go. I don't know if it was. Here she is. So yeah, providing them houses now, providing houses to families allows their families to come over here and live together. What will happen as well is when they get married and meet other people and get married, they actually create a new family. And at that point, they won't be welcome in that house anymore. A bit harsh, but it's the only way to get the mechanic to work. So yeah, basically, 2 people get married, they'll start a brand new family, and then you'll have to assign a house for them. So it's kind of like getting the player to be aware of that, so that if they do want 2 people to get married, the benefit that is you have children, increase their happiness, keep them together, but you will need to have the room in the village for that as well. So yeah, and then we can assign more people together, and also people will. So they're all sitting down at the minute. I don't have a sleeping animation, but I've also made it so the town centre is where your people will sleep if they're homeless. So it's easy just to kind of keep track of how many people have got homeless. I think in future I kind of want to build like a banished house, like a boarding house, and I think it's a good idea. It stops people just sprawling out here, or maybe like camps. Maybe even set up their own camp actually would be really nice. But yeah, it's tomorrow people start to wake up, and then these are little houses as well. Cool. So yeah, right now the request is a bit broken. So what I'm doing is every day I'm kind of checking for new requests, but I'm not checking if that request is already. Basically, the request list system needs to see what isn't already available. So right now it's like I want bread, but the probably is already bread, so it's kind of instantly completing, and it should be doing that. We should just not be creating a request if they already have it. Speaking of houses real quickly and the inventory, so I've made it so the settlers actually eat from their houses. So the house also has a restock system, and it will restock all the food, and then based on what kind of food you have in there, I want you to have the more food you have, the more happier people are, because they kind of got like a bigger inventory and bigger selection, and potentially also give health benefits as well. But yeah, so they will now eat from their own house. So you might see less in your stock. Sorry, this is a bit weird, but so you might see less in the food, but they've actually got enough food. It's actually kind of, and this will go down based on the amount of people in the house as well. So the more people you've got in the household, the faster this food will go down. Cool. So some of the other stuff I've done is so Hunter's Lodge. You can see here I've simplified how this works as well. So before I would just basically have someone in there who would just go around searching for food anywhere. So it could take a long time. What I've done for that is actually, so you'll see in a minute, hopefully. I think this is the boar assigned. So it should spawn another boar. I might have already done it maybe somewhere else actually. But you're gonna have actually that could just be in a passerby set of animals. Hard to tell. Who knows? Yeah, so this is a little bit of tweaking as well. But what it does now, there's the one. It's because there's a gate there, so I can know it's off rock climbing. So, yeah. Now this spawns its own herd actor, and the herd actor basically spawns animals around it and moves them around so that it moves ahead, and it keeps track of when one dies, it'll spawn another one, but it kind of keeps it in the vicinity of this hunter's lodge. So the law is be a couple of animals around this area, so this will kind of bring in a constant set of food. If other animals wander by as well, they will also die. So if you have like this cow, if he kind of wanders on by, the hunter can actually attack that cow as well. But this should give you a steady stream of food, but also the leather and any other stuff that the animals bring as well. So that's been simplified. The gatherer's hut's also been changed as well. So before, these used to just gather from these berry bushes, but I kind of changed this whole mechanic now and got rid of that. So what gatherers will do now is it'll turn a gatherer into someone who just goes by the trees. So all around the trees you have, each tree can spawn like mushrooms, berries and herbs. And herbs are going to be used for like medicine, mushrooms and berries for food. But basically, yeah, it's kind of similar to Banished, where you want to have the gatherer's hut and the forest lodge together ideally. So the forest lodge makes trees around the area. They will spawn these smaller items, the mushrooms, herbs, berries, etc. And then the gatherer's hut will then take from them and deposit them here. So yeah, not relying on these berry bushes, because it kind of meant it was a very stagnant and there was no kind of game going around it. We just found one of these and plug a gatherer's hut down, and that would be it. Cool. What else have I been working on? Another thing I've been tidying up is the blacksmith. So these, so you can see how there's different objects for you to now craft, or for the peasants craft, and this will be based directly on that peasant's skill level in the job. So you can see here it's this person here somewhere, there she is, and she's a level 2 blacksmith, and I need to actually add information about these when you unlock them. Basically you can see here these two need level 5 because these have unlocked. I won't tell you, but this one's a level 2 and this one's level 1. So when you first make someone a blacksmith, you have this kind of feedback loop for the player where it's very slow at the start and all I can make is iron. And then when they come level 1, the production becomes faster, and then they can make nails. Level 2 kind of continues on. Now they can build tools, and the tools are used for everyone else. Nails used in production, and then the level 5 stuff here, like the weapons and armor, that's used for trading, which actually brings us onto the trader screen. So this is very early and basic, but what I've also got here is the start of the trader screen as well. So you get traders that kind of come in every now and again. And then you can choose to kind of sell or buy. So you can see I've got 490 wood, I can sell 20. That seems to be, yeah, selling too much. It's selling double, I wonder why, it's interesting. But yeah, you can click this and it'll sell it for gold. So if you're in gold, you can do that, and you can also buy to do that. This one's working, so 60 gold, you can see how my gold's going down. And obviously, as every other game does it, it's actually more expensive to buy than it is to sell. So, but it's a good way to kind of get those resources in if you need them, especially early on when you're not going to have all the the peasants at the right level. So you might need to actually bring a lot in. Cool. So one of the other things I've done as well, actually, do set 2 people in love. So get this guy here, lock him, and here, and then set these in love.
Your villagers are in love.
So you can see they want to get married now. So this, I've now built kind of like a camera system, like an event system. So you kind of just grab everybody, kind of bring them around, and watch the wedding. But I want a lot of these events. I want the players to get really connected to their villagers. So I want a bit of information there. I want it to be on a screen, like tells you Aldith and Gamel have got married and make a big deal out of it, so the player remembers them. But I think the event cameras will really help as well with that. And then everyone goes back, but ideally I want people to kind of be happy and get off the pies and stuff as well. Ignore the animation loop. There's a little bug there. So yeah, there's that. What else? I'm sure there's something else. Yeah, if we also just put this guy around.
Building completed.
So we've been moving over to EQS as well, actually. So EQS, I was having a lot of problems finding like the edges of buildings. So I wanted peasants to kind of bring resources to the edge of a building and drop it off instead of a specific point, which might be difficult to get to or blocked. I was having a lot of problems, so I've moved everything over to EQS, which made that so much easier. So now, if I can even show you that in action. So here you can see just an EQS test around here, basically closest point that they can get to around this object from their position, and this one's the winner. And you can see for this guy, this is the winner. So yeah, this really is this has helped a lot. I don't think I should use off there, but I was getting a lot of bugs where they just weren't getting there and getting stuck in loops, and it was becoming a nightmare trying to fix all those and manage them. So yeah, this just helps so much more. So now we're building this build.
Completed.
They'll also kind of have a little celebration around it as well. So anyone who's nearby will kind of like cheer and stuff. Obviously, these animations aren't the best, but yeah, they'll do little animations. I kind of want that again, everything to feel nice and rewarding for the player. Which comes from little things like animation, sounds, effects, etc. So something else I've been working on and tweaking is the weather, and I find that really makes a difference. Actually, it feels really, really cool whenever the weather changes. So you can see here, this is just clear, this is morning, so sunrise, and then if we change it to be rainy, I know I showed this before, but I've done tweaks, and then foggy, you can see how it just really gives that kind of like, even the sound kind of starts to muffle out a little bit. It's stormy, and this one works really well with the lightning when it comes in. I do need to work on some of the tree materials. There you go. It just feels cool, feels wet. Something to hook this up into some of the systems. Very cool. I was also contemplating making roofs block rain, and peasants who don't have a job, for example here, will try and find somewhere under cover. There's like an idle spot. But again, just way too complex, and there's no need for it. I might use it later on, but for now there's no reason. And then also the different seasons as well. So we're in spring at the minute.
It's summertime.
Summer. That'll change what these do as well. And actually, I think some of the current planting. And then autumn
is upon us.
So they should maybe start. Yeah, here we go. So now they're hacking down the crops, and there we go. They're starting to get some wheat, which is cool. This farm is a lot of work. It's one of the things that makes a little city builder like this, a little medieval one. But it needs a lot of work. I want to make a really good job of the farm. So yeah, there's autumn, and again, all the lighting and stuff changes based on autumn. And then if we move over to winter,
Winter is here.
So winter, what they'll do with winter here, if there's anything left,
A villager has fallen ill.
They'll start to kill the crop in winter. So if they don't harvest it fast enough, it'll kill the crop. And at this point, what they'll do is start hacking it down. So they've got to hack it all down, anything that's left, for it to start be like a fresh field for spring again. So it keeps, winter and winter. Autumn's when you harvest it, you get loads of food. But if you haven't got enough people to do it, or if it's not big enough farm, or if not the job levels are high enough, then you can really kind of suffer. So you want to be careful. You don't want to just make the biggest farm for the sake of it. And then yeah, you can see the snow that just came in naturally as well.
A villager has fallen ill.
Yeah, and this works really well. You can see all like the past that as villagers are leaving. I've got stone in the middle there. Let's go with that. I think the snow looks really nice. And then when it stops snowing, it doesn't
A
actually,
villager has fallen ill.
it doesn't fill it in. So you can see here, these are actually getting filled in when it's snowing. You can see that these will, over time, these will start to fill up, so kind of like brings it all to the same level. So yeah, you can see it's just kind of like fading
A
away.
villager has fallen ill.
And then yeah, if we move to spring again,
Spring has arrived.
I'll do. This snow will all start to dissipate and disappear over time, which is really cool. Yeah, I think the weather is really nice. It's coming along really well. Also made some changes to the water as well, so the water no longer looks crazy. You got this nice shoreline effects, which kind of fortunately only work with static meshes. It doesn't actually work with landscape, so I need to work out what to do with this. I don't really want to populate the entire coast with meshes, but this uses distance fields, and for some reason it's only using the static mesh ones, but yeah, I think it gives it a nice little effect here. Some of the other stuff I worked on is, let's have a look. So info screens as well. So I realised that when people are playing this, let some of my friends play this, and we'll talk like, what does this do? What's that for? And it's usually, banished stuff if you let people learn themselves. And I kind of want to keep that. I don't want to handhold too much, but what I've got now is like an info screen here. So this is to do, but I haven't finished it. But you can basically click on anything, and it'll now tell you. Again, this is still placeholder the text, but it should tell you a little bit about it. So anything that you can right click on, like here, there you go. Owl tells you what it is, and which is quite cool. So you can put it afterwards. So again, if you're unsure what Mint is or what to use it for, you should go to right click and it'll tell you, which I think is quite good. But one of the systems I added as well to solve a lot of problems was the proxy system. You'll see that in action in a second, but what the proxy system does is basically I was having troubles trying to get peasants into or around buildings with their animations, kind of navigating to those points. It was becoming quite difficult, especially with each building being different, some being inside, some being outside. If there's anyone working here, yeah, that's just. So what happens now is actually this person, this settler character, actually goes inside the building. I make them invisible. I turn off all the collision. I make them so they're flying. And then I put them inside the building, so technically they're flagged as inside the building, even though they're on the outside invisible. Then the problem that I ran into then was that as a player, you want to obviously click on that that character, find out information. I no longer could do that. So then I built these proxies, and the proxy is basically so this is just a blueprint that's just gets the information from that settler. So it gets what do you look like, what animations are you doing, etc. And just plays, or what action animation should I be doing, and just plays that in this point. So this is just a single actor that stays there, plays animations, spawns a skeletal mesh, so anything it needs to do. And if you click it, kind of like redirects it, so it grabs the information from the settler, but it shows it here. So technically this settler is like here. In fact, I might even be able to show you that with, yeah, there you go, you can see. So this is actually where the settler is, because it's always above their heads when you go in AI mode. But really, I'm spawning here. This has been really useful. So I've actually expanded on this this past week as well. So, for example, the school was a really good example, actually. So if we just show you this basic version, get Here, we can assign a teacher. And this school has just like 6 or 7 proxy points. And on those proxy points, I've actually given them a gameplay tag. So there's one for teacher, the rest are for school children. And then what will happen is when they go over there to use the building, based on what their action is, so if it's a teacher, they will search for that proxy, and then it automatically they will just go in and say like, I'm after this proxy, and it'll automatically pick it for them and put them there and do the right stuff as well. Same for the children, they'll just go in and say like, hey, I'm a child. I'll put it so you just see in action. So yeah, they're just a child, and they just go to a place, they start playing animation. But again, really, you can see they're in here, they're all getting parked off of each other. But you can click it, you can hover over them, it'll say the name. But it really just kind of saves all that hassle. They don't no longer need to nav there. I was making it before I was having issues where they would finish their job here, and I'd have to decide how to get them back out. Do I nav them out or teleport them out? And yeah, I don't have to do that anymore. And another good thing as well is if I do something like the build a tavern. So here, what I can do is this can accept as many people as you want. So I can make this. So this basically does accept infinite amount of people. But I've got 6 proxy points or 7 proxy points again. And as soon as they enter, they will pick one. So you can see them, they're all picking one. But if people enter and there's no proxy points left, like this one maybe, there you go. Then it just goes, okay, well, there's none left. Just you're inside, you're invisible, and it doesn't matter. But it means that I can have I can build these buildings. I can put a few points outside, so it shows that people are using it. But I can make it so that you can have 100 people going there. It won't really make a difference. But you can see that there would still be people outside. And again, I could tag these if I wanted to. So if I show you how that looks, so that's cool. Let's do the screen. So what I've got here are these proxy points. So you can't see them, but I do have Steelbook Boolean. And you can see here I have these proxies, and these are proxy points. And the good thing about having them as actual components, and if you use the scene component, scene is the root instead of it. So you make a blueprint component, but make it the root, the parent scene actor. Scene component is the parent. It means you can actually place them down and move them about, which is really good because you can see them in world space or in the viewport, move them about and get that information. You can get the world location from them. So yeah, I just place these down, and then in here I basically do I give them a tag, a proxy tag. In this I've got different classes of the proxy points, and they do special stuff. So for example, I've got a child one, which basically will set them as much smaller mesh. I've got the job one, which I can place down. It doesn't matter where it is. It'll automatically get the job position that I previously set. So I can just put one down and say this is the job, and it'll get that. Where should I be working? And then just the standard one, which you just place down. And then, sorry, I just realised you can't see the other screen. Yeah, so this is kind of all a proxy point is. So it's just a mesh, a box, which allows me to click on it. So this is what I click on. And in here, basically, as soon as it just starts playing a montage. If there's any attachments needed, it does that. And then we can do stuff. So here's where it's getting the reference to the settler or the peasant, and it's getting all the information from that. So it's basically, yeah, these have been a really good time saver and got rid of a lot of stress by having these in, which is really cool. So I think people might be interested in is some behind the scenes look at some of my systems and the way I've set stuff out. So I'll just quickly dive through a few of them so you can have a look, and then if you want to talk about or ask questions about how I've set stuff up and the reason I have, let me know. Again, these are in progress. So these are changing constantly, so they'll be a little bit messy, a little bit. Some decisions might not be the right way to do stuff. This is the way I'm doing it. So this is my basic settler behavior tree. And up here I have this wait action, which is always a fallback because you never want it spamming. You know, if everything fails and it just goes completely tits up, this will just stop it spamming the system out because that will just destroy your performance. Then I've got these, which are going to be action overrides. And if I trigger one of these, for example, leaving the village, like banished, I want them to stop anything else. Like, it doesn't matter what you're doing, this is priority number one. But if none of those are true, I'm kind of go down to the selector and I do this in order. So we have events, which is the wedding event that I showed you before. So again, kind of just pause what you're doing just for a minute, but I want you to come back to this, but if you've got an event, just pause what you're doing in a minute, just enjoy the event. Then the task, because this is high priority because I start to get bugs where the peasants would be doing a task and then suddenly would go to sleep or do something else, and either not go back to it or something would just break, or you'd be like, why isn't the building getting built? So tasks are always top priority number one, even if they want to sleep, even if they've got a job. It's like, hey, if you've got a task assigned to you, for example, pick up a resource, cut down a tree, you finish that task first. But it doesn't mean that they'll start a new task if they're doing something else, but if they have a task assigned, they will do that first. Then sleep, because this is obviously a high priority than doing other stuff, especially if they're really, really tired. And it always nighttime. So again, this just says like, do I need sleep? Yeah. Have I got a home? Okay, then go to there. If I don't, then do the home and sleep. Then the job. So this is quite a heavy one, but basically this actually has a dynamic behavior tree here, and then each job has its own dynamic behavior tree. I try and reuse ones where I can. So I've got a very generic one for example, blacksmith, woodcutter, anyone that just informs going to a building and doing an animation, they all use like the same one. Because there was no point. Originally I had different ones for each one, but it was like, I need to fix this here, 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 here. It's like, you can just put all that in one. It's very generic. And yeah, this is split into two. So first of all, go to the job building if you're not there, and then run the behavior tree if you are there. And then if the settler's in free time, so basically means if they're not sleeping and not doing a job, then first of all, they check their inventory, and if they've got any inventory left, just go deposit it. Because I was getting problems where they just had like one or two and they're just carrying around for no reason forever. So it's just like, hey, go just deposit your resource. Then this is a service, and it's basically this checks. So I'm basically does a check when it comes in here first of all. So it's like, are there any free tasks? If there isn't, it will then bind to a dispatcher which listens out for tasks. So it's not actually that expensive. So while it's in here, while you're in this section, you're basically bound to this dispatcher, and if there's ever a new task, it will check to see if you can do it. If it can, then it assigns you the task, which will then trigger this one because you've now got a task, and then I unbind it as soon as this deactivates. So it's a nice way to just like listen out. Without often trying to do it in a blueprint at certain points. This is literally just goes, hey, am I in free time? Yeah, okay, then I'll be listening out for a task. So social interactions, these are where the peasants talk to each other. So this will be two peasants have seen each other, do all the checks like, are you free? They basically need to be in the same situation, same at this point, basically. And if they are, then they will start to move to each other and then they'll interact. And then lastly is all the idle stuff. So I'll look at a POI, that's if like there's a building next to you that has spawned or anything else, then it will stop and look at that. Idle, this is controlled by their brain, and it will pick an idle based on what they're doing and behave, the world at the time. So if it's snowy, then they will go and create a snowman. If there's a tavern, then they'll go to the tavern. If there's a church, they'll go to the church. If there's an idle spot near them, we'll go there. If there's a fire, they'll go warm them up. So this is hard to do all that. I would have had to add like a whole new branch down here, and it wasn't needed. I could just do that in the brain. It's not a very intensive task. It doesn't need to be done much, only once, so it doesn't need a behavior tree. And then finally, fallbacks. This is like if everything else has failed. Well, if you're in free time and you're kind of like not doing anything, then I just kind of like idle at the point if these two have failed. But I also do this check on nav mesh. So if something's gone wrong, I wait till like the end of the day where they're free, and then I basically, hey, are you moving? No, is it because you're not on the nav mesh? And if you're not, then I teleport you somewhere. I do that. I should do this more, but it's just trying to find places to put it. And maybe this shouldn't even be on the behavior tree. This maybe should be actually on the character themselves. But it's just trying to find like a good way to do this, because it's difficult. You can quite easily spawn something which breaks the nav mesh around them, and then they get stuck. They can't find their way to the nav mesh, which is quite frustrating. So yeah, that's a behind the scenes look at my behaviour trees if you are interested. Currently, where the game is, I don't think I've got much else to really share. I've tidied some stuff up like this. So the settler list now is in alphabetical order, and splits them into family. So again, I'm trying to really focus into that family idea, and this all needs improving. But it just shows you the basic information of each one. One thing I did do as well was rich text. So you can see here, you can see I can now add like keywords to text. So you can see here, and it really helps you. So when you click over stuff, you know, I've got it split it up. So raw goods, which is a type of resource, is in blue. Storage, because it's a function. Here, these are keywords, so these are like traders' supplies. But it allows players to kind of like, you know, click on it quickly and see this. It allows players to become smiths, so you know that smiths is a keyword, and nails, tools, and more is also keywords as well. So I think this will be really useful for, again, just teaching players how the game works. And yeah, I've been working with basic like tax and upkeep. Yeah, so you can see how these buildings, the amount of upkeep they're producing. This tax, oh, it's because it's empty, that's why I haven't served it. So yeah, you see that 6, because it's 3 members and it's an appeal of 1, because you've actually increased it by building upgrades and stuff. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I've done some other stuff. There's the road tool, path tool, what do you want to call it? I've improved as well. So this works properly now. I was having loads of problems with this before, but I've kind of nailed it, sorted this out. So this works a lot better now. You got your mud and stone, the different types of paths, although right now they're the same. But it also, it's such a small thing, but it's also the way it just handles it. So this was always awkward. It's like you wanted to go here and it would randomly choose different ways because it's based on like the longest length. So it would constantly just flip between. And now I've kind of got it so that it listens out for the player's first action. So if I put this down and I go left first, then it doesn't matter how much I move it, it'll stay on the left hand side, which it's a really natural way of building it. And it seems to work every time. Whenever I build a path, it goes where I want, roughly. But you can, if you go back to the middle, you can actually reset that as well. So you can see how when I go back to like near the center, it kind of resets. So yeah, you can do it, but you know, if I do this and go as long as possible, it'll stick. It won't choose the longest length. It will choose the first one, which yeah, is good. Also change the clear options, so you now have you can now set it to clear different stuff. So trees only, stone only, and then more. This one doesn't do anything. I was deciding whether to do this or not, but I think I'm going to get rid of the ability to harvest the mushrooms and herbs. So I think I want that to be a gatherer sort of only. Fences, I've been working on those a little bit more, but they're something I want to keep. But yeah, I need to add a lot of functionality in there so you can remove parts, add like doorways and stuff. Right now it's very just, once you've done it, I think you can actually remove it now. No, maybe not. Yeah, you can't remove it. So that's one of the problems, can't remove it. And if you remove it, I'll remove the whole thing. So I need to do a lot of work on them. Destruction actually works a lot better now though. I've seen effects for it. I need people to be upset and stuff like that, building gets removed. But this all works and should be handled now by a behaviour tree. So if you're working there and building gets removed, or you're in there in the tavern and it gets removed, the settlers should respond to that. And yeah, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, still got a lot of work to do, but I'm feeling reinvigorated. I'm hoping to be able to get something playable. I'm just going to try and simplify, cut features that I don't need. just so I can get something out there that's actually playable and people can enjoy and give feedback on. So yeah, any features which are causing a lot of bugs or just not needed, or I'm gonna try and remove them. I'll just put them on hold for now, and then yeah, try and get something out in summer would be nice this year, and then get some feedback on it. But cool, yeah, as always, thanks again for following me, for watching these videos. It's honestly, I really appreciate everyone who replies and posts comments and just follows me, because really just keep that energy going. If you could give a like, that would be awesome as well. It helps with the algorithm. The more likes these get, the more people see them, the more people will find me on Steam, and then again, just seeing those numbers go up obviously makes me feel good and makes me know people want to play it. I mean, this is just really a passion project, but obviously I would love to be able to get as many people as possible playing this at some point. Yeah, brilliant. Thanks everybody, and I will see you again in the next one. Cheers.